What is up out there? Thanks for joining. This is Chad Outdoors. We're going to show you how to change the oil in a Brute Force 750 by popular request. Here we go. What we got down here, all the necessary supplies to make the oil change happen. First off, you're going to need a Brute Force 750. Check. You need an oil pan, some paper towels, a funnel, your new oil filter. Actually, that one's got a crush washer on it. So don't forget to get the crush washer. It goes on the oil drain bolt. Your oil. What's this? A torque wrench. Not necessary, but if you got one, I'd use one. You want to torque the drain bolt to 15 pounds. Some ratchets and some sockets. All right, so now you got your checklist down. What you want to do next is, let's go ahead and warm up the Brute Force. So I would recommend turning it on, letting it warm up for about 3 to 5 minutes. And once it warms up, you don't want it too hot where you can't work on it, but you want it warm enough to where the oil can drain out and flow nicely and not take forever with cold oil dripping out. So let's let this thing warm up. We'll check back with you in about 3 to 5 minutes. All right, so while that warms up, I figured I'd show you the specs on what you need, like oil types. So let's take a look. I got them laid down on the floor again, and I'm going with the Kawasaki 10W40 4-stroke. It's the green bottle. It has ATV, UTV on it. You can get these online. I got them on Amazon just because out of sheer, I would say laziness, but the dealer's a little ways away. You can get these for about $6 a piece at the dealer, and I think this is maybe $7. So a little over $20-ish for that, but on Amazon I paid 35 bucks. So it's a little bit more, but it's kind of worth it. So here we go on the oil filter. Here's the part number if you need it. Take a look, pause the video if you want to, and then don't forget, you want to make sure it comes with a crush washer. That just goes on the drain bolt when you tighten it to spec. Then as far as your sockets you'll need, or wrenches, you're gonna need a socket though. You'll need a 17mm for the drain bolt. And then I got this little guy, the 10mm, and that's gonna be for the skid plate. I'm gonna remove the skid plate because it's much easier to take the skid plate off and let all the oil drain to the pan rather than the oil come from the filter. It'll get all on your skid plate. But anyway, I think it's warmed up. Let's go over here and check it out. I like to get the old hand test. Yeah, it feels pretty nice and warm. So what I'll do is turn it off. All right, so now I'm crawling under here. I've got the oil pan down there ready. First thing I'm just gonna do is take off the 4 bolts that hold on the skid plate. And it's a little loose because I already turned it a couple rounds, but I was like, oh, let me video this. So we got 4 to take off. These aren't actually very tight. Need a little impact for taking them off, but I would recommend hand tighten everything back. You don't want to over torque it. That one's got some grit in it. And the 4th one, I imagine it's gonna be pretty dirty under here. Got a little bit of the lake with me. A little bit of pond grass, I mean. So as I take this off, yeah, it's got some pond grass from the last time we went mudding. Looks like it's got a catch. Oh, so I lied to you guys. There's 2 more. Sorry about that. Let's get those off real quick. All right, so as it comes off, we got 2 more in the front. Okay, now that we have the skid plate off, we can go ahead and drain the oil. Let me set the camera up. There we go. Get my ratchet back over here. Broke free, and then catch your crush washer. It's probably gonna stay. See that? Hang on to that. But I'd recommend putting a new one on. There we go. Oil's coming out. Looks really nice and good. I've been through some water in this thing. And as you can tell, the water, the oil looks good. It's not milky. So that's a good sign. So while that's coming out, I'm actually going to crack the dipstick, which is just up this way, reaching on through the top. That way I'm going to let air through all the way through, so you don't just have a hole in the bottom and create suction. And let that drain. We're going to sit here for a few minutes until it stops dripping. But while it's doing that, I'm actually going to scoot the oil pan up a little bit, and I'm going to reach over here if the filter's not too hot with my bare hand and take it off. This bad boy is tight. All right, optional tool. That's why it's a bonus to watch through these whole videos, because you learn something that might not have been in the first half. Vice grips. I bought these just to take filters off. Comes in really handy. So I'm gonna get it around the filter. I'm just gonna crack it free, and then I can do it with my hands. There it is. Then we'll get this back over the filter area, and I'll finish pulling it off. And you do not want to use that to tighten the new one up. I always hand tighten these. There we go, finally coming. Now we're gonna let that sit a bit. I'll be back in a few. Okay, we just about got all the oil out. I'm gonna catch a couple drips on my finger. I'm gonna rub it on the gasket on the new filter. It helps it create a better seal. If you're a perfectionist or really crazy, you're probably just gonna get some new oil, but that oil looks good. So one drop won't get in the engine anyway. It's just to seal it. So we're gonna put this filter back up to it. I'm gonna make sure it's clear of debris, which had some grass next to it. Got that off. Okay, yep, all clear now. As I said earlier, we're gonna turn this, hand tighten this. Never want to tighten it with a wrench. You'll never get it off. If you don't have a good grip, you may use a wrench. So for all you disclaimers, someone might comment, yeah, you gotta get it tight. Well, I can get it pretty tight with this hand. And that's good, that ain't coming off. All right. So as this last few drips come out, I'm gonna grab the drain bolt back over here, take off the old crush washer, put it on the ground, grab the new crush washer, and make sure this is clean. Put the bolt back on, And this is where it's tricky. You don't want to over torque it here, and you don't want to under torque it. If you under torque it or under tighten it, it could vibrate off. However, if you over tighten it, you could crack, break the bolt, strip a thread, all that fun stuff. You don't want that to happen either. So I got the torque wrench, got it set to 15 pounds. And we're just gonna tighten it till it clicks. And then we're good. Go ahead and put this under here. And we'll wait for it to break over. That's it. That seems really light, but this is a beefy ratchet. I'm gonna do it one more time. When it clicks, it just breaks free. See, it's already clicking. It's not letting me turn it. So that's good. So there we go. Now, of course, what you want to do, button it up back down under there. Put your skid plate back on. And then, of course, we got to add some oil. So let's add oil. All right, so after you got your new filter installed, drain plug with the crush washer installed, torqued to 15 pounds, then you can add your oil. So we're gonna add the oil right where the where the dipstick goes. And I got this long funnel, and this manual says it takes 2.1 quarts to 2.5 quarts when you change the filter. So it says if the engine's completely dry with the filter, it's gonna be 2.5 quarts. So not always when you change the oil, you get all the oil out. So what I'll do is I'm gonna put 2.1 quarts in and check the level, see if we need to add a tad bit more. You don't want to overfill it. If you overfill it, you got to get a syringe and suck the oil out through a syringe, which that'll be a lot of fun. All right, so here we go, second quart. You don't want to just dump it all at once, because the hole going in down there into the crank is small. You don't want to make a mess. Then the old wife will get real excited about the oil on the slab, on the concrete. All right, so now we got 2 quarts in. As I mentioned, let's go with about 2.1, and then we'll check the oil. Just gonna guess here, it's about 2.1-ish. And catch that with the paper towel. Put that in. So to check the level, you screw this all the way in. Yeah, I know I spilled some. It's fun. I said fun, yeah. Because then I gotta clean it up. All right, so wipe off the excess, put it back in. I just want to make sure it's got pretty high level. So it's showing on there really full. So now I'm safe to run it. That's when I feel better about making sure it shows oil before I run it. So let's run it for a minute or two, let it warm up, and then check it again. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, that's been about a minute and a half. So I'm gonna turn it off. We're gonna unscrew this. You gotta wipe off the excess oil, because the oil will rise while it's running and give you a misreading. So we're gonna go back into here, screw it all the way in, and then screw it all the way back out and check. I wanna see if the oil is on the X's. It's hard to tell. It looks like it is, but I want to do it one more time. And you don't want to go all the way to the top, to the H. I prefer 3/4 of the way up. Let's go back and let's make sure there's no oil on it. All right, this looks pretty dry. One more time. All the way down. Let's go back out. Yep, we're good. So I'll keep an eye on that next time I run it, check it again. And if it needs oil, we'll add a tad bit more. But it took about 2.1 quarts like the manual said. Whew, yes, the Brute Force is ready to go. Got some fresh oil in its belly. Time to go out and make some more content for you guys. Appreciate everyone watching. Let's go get it done. Hit that like, subscribe button. See you on the next one.